Mouse News fans, some very good information. Papers that have been kept secret for over 70 years are showing that the Soviet Union had actually proposed a powerful military force in an effort to entice Britain and France into an anti-Nazi alliance. The offer of a military force to help contain was made by a Soviet delegation at a meeting with French and British officers 2 weeks before the war broke out in 1939. Now, the documents of vast numbers of infantry, military, artillery, airborne forces that Stalin's generals had actually prepared have been made. Up to 1 million fighting men would have been made ready to stop the Nazi war machine or to discourage the Nazi war machine if Polish objections to the Red Army crossing its territory could have been overcome. Now, this stands in stark contrast with the way historians have always fraudulently presented the situations as Stalin and Hitler were in a pact to carve up Europe for their own personal gain, which was actually completely inaccurate, as you know, what with Hitler actually almost beating the Soviet Union. And that was one of the reasons why the Allies had actually stood by and let all that happen and didn't help, because they wanted the Soviet Union to fall. Now, Simon de Montfort, a famous author on Stalin, did speak of this information. The detail of Stalin's offer underlines what is known, that the British and French may have lost a colossal opportunity in 1939 to prevent the German aggression which unleashed the Second World War. It shows that Stalin may have been more serious than we realized in offering this alliance. There are a bunch of declassified archives starting from as early as 1938 to the outbreak of the war in September 1939, showing that the Kremlin had actually known that Britain and France had put incredible pressure on Czechoslovakia to appease Hitler by surrendering ethnic German Sudetenland region in 1938. So while Stalin was actually making offers to actually fight the Nazis, here was Britain and France pressuring Czechoslovakia to give territory to the Nazis. And yet, somehow, if you go back into the history books, it's always somehow Stalin's fault for everything, like the Molotov-Ribbentrop agreement, which is very interesting because Stalin was actually the last one to sign a deal with Hitler. Everybody had treaties with Hitler. And some countries outright surrendered themselves to Hitler. But for some reason, the Soviet Union, the last country to do it, is somehow the criminal in this whole situation. It's effing ridiculous. All the capitalist countries signed deals with them as well, and some of them just completely signed themselves right over to Hitler. But the Soviet Union is still to blame, even though very clearly now we have documents showing that they had tried to set up a formation to stop Nazi Germany, but France and Britain were basically ignoring them. And Poland didn't want to have Red Army troops in the country, and as a result, there was the invasion, and they were flattened. Now, us communists have known this for like 70 years, that Stalin was not a supporter of the Nazis, which is effing ridiculous when you just look at the basic facts of the actual war and what happened. And now this is starting to come to light. Unfortunately, like with a lot of bourgeois historians, this isn't going to get recognized. History books aren't going to get changed. It's still going to basically blame World War II on Stalin somehow, and then somehow it's still his fault. This is just more of the information that comes out that shows what complete utter hypocrisy and complete lies that historians are giving out on the Soviet Union, as well as many other countries. And even when we get this, we get proof like this, they still continue to do it. Because in the future, World War II will still be twisted around as being somehow Stalin's fault. And he'll be criticized for signing the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, while every other capitalist country did before him, and some even outright surrendered their territory to him.